Hey guys, welcome back to my tutorials or channel. So I'm going to be starting a new series in today's tutorial, and it's just going to be going over coding logic. So what I'm going to be doing is, in this first tutorial, it's going to be if-else statements, and these coding logic tutorials, you can actually just use them in any programming language. You just need to convert it to the correct syntax. So for today's if-else statement demo, all I'll do is we're going to create a random number. If that number is above 50, we can say well done, and if it's below 50, we can say need to try harder. So it's kind of like a test score or something. So all I'll do is drag in a button, and we'll just give that a few constraints. So just put it in the middle, and we'll name this button generate score, and we'll give this score, we'll give this button a action generate score, and in this button we can put our code later, and now that's about it for our storyboard. So we'll go to our view controller, and first we need to create a random number. So create let random number is equal to, then we just use the random function. So to do that, all we'll do is generate a random number from 0 to, let's say, 100. Oh, yeah, okay, and we've got our random number. Now what we need to do is create an if statement. So to do that in Swift, it's really easy. All you do is type if random number, and if it's higher than 50 or higher than equal to 50, we'll say we'll create a bool up here, var did pass is equal to, we'll set it by false by default, but did pass equal to true, and if it didn't, else did pass is equal to false. We don't actually need to do that since the default value is false, but it doesn't really matter. So now we can just create an alert. So we'll say let alert equals UI alert controller title, and we need to create another if statement here, or we could just get rid of this stuff and just put this all. We'll just create a different alert for each one. So let alert is you passed, and we can have the message as you got, and then plus random number. We need to convert this to a string though. Okay, we'll just put it like this then, and we want this to be an alert, so we can just present that now. Self.present. We need to add an action as well. Alert dot add action and UI alert action. This is just going to be okay. Style dot cancel, and this will be nil. Then we can just we can just present this alert. Okay, now I'll just copy and paste this, and this time, so in this one the user passed, and in this one failed. See, because if it's above 50 then they pass, and if it's below 50 then they fail. So just say this, you got random number, and then just click OK. So let's see how this app works, and that was a very simple app just to demonstrate the if-else statement. So let's just see how it works. Okay, so let's generate a score, and we got 30. Let's generate another one, we got 48. Oh my god, why do I keep failing? No, I keep failing. Nice, 91. Let's go. So I guess we could create that as a percentage, but that's just an extra step. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later. This is how you use an if statement. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's coding logic tutorial, I'm going to be going over the basic variable types. Well, I shouldn't say variable because you can also have constants, but I'm just going to name it variable types just for easiness of saying it. So the basic variable types are, there's actually quite a few of them. So the first ones that come to mind are just we have string, int, bool, and list. There's also a few others like character, and I bet there's a lot more, but you know, those don't really matter. Well, they do, but they're not that important as the like primary ones. So we have string, and what I can do with a string is var string, and Swift automatically assigns a variable, but if you want a different one, then you can assign it as that specific variable. So string is just any like string of characters. So the strings can actually be anything, like they can be numbers, they can be these, actually they kind of be them, but they can be these, they can be these like letters obviously. So yeah, strings are actually like probably the most versatile, I would say, but I don't know. And then we have int, and ints are just whole numbers, so you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, and things like that. And if you have a 32-bit int, it can go up to like 2 quadrillion or trillion, something like that. But you know, that doesn't really matter until you actually start getting into complex stuff. So if we just set this to 10 and any whole number, and then you also have bool, which is literally just true or false. So you can have true or you can have false. That's it. And we'll just set this to true, true or false. And then we have a list. So a list isn't actually any sort of variable. Like, it can actually be a lot of different things, but what we'll have is a string list. You can just have an int list and a bool list, and you can actually have any type of list, but we'll have a string list. So, and then we can just set it as not have nothing in it, or we can have 1, or we can have 1, 2, and 3. And yeah, so if you want a decimal number, you can have a float, and this is called a float, and this enables you to have any decimal number. You can also have a double, but you don't really need to know the difference between it now. So yeah, 592, 6, 525. That's the number of pi I know. I used to know a lot more, but I forgot now. So yeah, a list of any variable type and a decimal number. Alright, so these are our primary variable types, and they're actually really useful. So if you want to set anything as a label, so let's just add a label. What you want to do is you need to always make sure it's in string, and these variable types, they each have their own uses. And you might be thinking, why would you use an int when you can just use a float all the time? And the real reason is I don't actually, like, I would say it's probably memory management, but that's not that much of a concern anymore, so I don't know actually. So we can just link this label up, label, and yeah, so we can just set this label dot text. So you can also set it as any of these. I think Swift automatically converts it, but if you're using a less good language, you have to actually convert it to a string. So to convert stuff to string, all you do is just type it like this. So you can also give lists, I think, but yeah. Oh, never mind, you can't. You have to just do this. If you're trying to print something, you can print any one of these and Swift automatically converts it. So yeah, I'll just run this. I mean, there's not much to see on this simulator, but this episode or tutorial was just to explain like these primary variables. In a future episode, I might go over custom variables using structs or classes, and yeah. So yeah, this is our string and this is our string. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to be doing some more of a Swift programming logic, and in today's tutorial it's going to be all about loops. So there are two main loops. There's the for loop and there's a while loop, and I'll cover both in today's video. So what we're going to do first is I'm just going to create a list that we can loop through. So let's create a list. Let's actually have animals today. So actually I can make that a let. Okay, so this will be a string list, and we'll have dog, cat, what other animals are there? Zebra. These are just ones I can think of. I don't know, I do the same all the time for some reason. Giraffe. Let's think of a few more. So, chicken. Now I'm just thinking of Minecraft. We'll have a pig and a cow. Okay, this is the list which we're going to loop through. Now, let's add a viewDidLoad, and in this viewDidLoad, what we can have is, the first one we're going to do is a for loop. So to set up a for loop, it's actually really easy. All you do is type for I in animals. So we're going to use a list as an example, and I is just going to be each one of these objects in the list. So it'll loop through the list. It'll loop through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So if we just do print I, it should print all of the animals inside of this list. I'm just gonna run this to show this. Okay, and there we can see it printed out all of the different animals. So now, that's how you use a for list. You can also use it as for 0 in 3. I think that'll work. I think I've never really used it for this kind of purpose, but I think it might be like this. I don't even know. But anyway, yeah, so that doesn't really matter, but I know there's a way to make it work. But for now, we can just use a for loop like this. And to use a while loop, what we do is, first we have to, if you want to loop through a list like we do here, we can create a variable called I, and then we can do while I is not equal animals.count, and we need to add 1 to I for every time it loops through. So now if I print I here, we can comment this out. It should print exactly the same thing. So, oh, sorry. We should be printing, I is just the index. We need to print animals I. Now this should print now this prints the animals. Now, a while loop is more useful when, let's say, you want to actually delete the objects. So, let's say if the first letter actually, let's just say if animals something, or if one of the objects in animals is cat or elephant, we want to delete it. So what you would do in a for loop is, actually the for loop might not actually work. So if we do if I is equal to, and then cat, or if I is equal to elephant, then we want to delete animals, but we can't do that because we are using I, which it already predefines it in this for loop, so can't delete unless we set up a variable here and then added 1 every time it went through, but there's not really any point for that. So the real way to do it is, what we do is, you have to use a while loop if you want to delete stuff. What you do is, we're going to, if animals I is equal to cat. So remember, when you're using a while loop, it's actually just the index. If you're using a for loop, it's the actual object. So, or if animals I is equal to elephant, and since we have the index, we can actually delete it by just typing animals.remove at I. Now, instead of just adding 1 to I every time, we have to add 1 to I if there is no, if we haven't deleted anything. And I'll show you why that's important afterwards. Let's change this to a var. Okay, so now let's try and print I before this. Print animals before this, and we'll print animals after this. And I'll just comment this out. Okay, so this was I before it, this was animals before it, and afterwards we've removed the cat and we've removed the elephant. So yeah, that's how you use a while loop to remove and a for loop for when you just don't want to remove and you just want to loop through the list. Anyway, now I'm going to show you what happens if we just leave it as I plus equals 1. So I think it might work here. Yeah, it works here. But let's say instead of wanting to delete the elephant, we want to delete the cow. Well, what will happen if we do that? It will end up crashing because the index is out of range. You see, I was 7, but it's just deleted the cat, and now it wants to delete the cow, which is in position 7, but it starts at 0, so it's actually position 6. That's why you always have to make sure using else. So now, if I use the else there, we should not have that error anymore. There we go. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hey guys, welcome back to another Swift programming logic tutorial, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be explaining what functions are and how they can be really useful. So functions are a core part of any language, like most of the stuff in this series, but with functions it's like they're really useful. So a function can actually do anything, and they can also be defined basically anywhere. They can be defined globally, in the class, or all I know is that they can't be defined inside of these func. They can't be defined inside of another func, but yeah, that's about it. So to define a function in Swift, all you do is type keyword func, and then you just name your function. So we can have let's have function add 10 to number. And actually, I'll start with an easier function to start off with. So have a func print hello, and inside of this function we can just write print hello. So now if we just use that function inside of the view.load and we run this, we should see that it should just print hello as soon as it view.loads. So we'll just see, and yeah, there we go. So that's how you do one type of function, but this function doesn't take any parameters and it also doesn't return anything. So next I'll create a new function called print, and then we can add a parameter. So inside of this parameter we can have we want print, which will be a string. That's how you define, I think these are called arguments. That's how you define arguments in Swift. They're different in other languages. In Python you don't actually tell it what type of value it is, what type of data it is. That's because variables in Python are non-set or something like that. But yeah, so what's this? Oh, I need to we're doing just a print word. We can't have the same. Okay, so if we use that function, now we can print whatever was inside of that print statement. So we need to change this to Word. We can change that to Word. Okay, so we can print hello, and next to that we can print Word, and let's print hello world. And we'll run this again, and we should see hello from the first statement, and then hello world. So for the final type of function, we can look at functions which also return a value. So I'll add this function can be func add 10 to number, and we'll have a number as an int, and this will return another int. So all you do here is if we don't do anything, it'll tell us there's a error because we haven't returned anything and it's expecting us to return an int. So all you can do is return number plus 10. And now if we print print and then add 10 to number, let's have 5. Let's run this. So we see we got hello from the first function, hello world from the second, and then we got 15. So yeah, we can also make these optional, so now these can return nils, but yeah. So that's how you use functions in Swift. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in another video.